Hello, howdy, and hello. Hi,
Boom, boom,
happy
boom, boom, boom.
Sunday. Hi, Lawrence. How are you? Good to see you.
Hey, happy Sunday.
Happy
Let's go.
Sunday.
Feels like midnight out here. It's nice and dark.
I know, I know. We're like 5. I'm like 5:30. I'm like, oh, it's so
5:30, I'm ready
late.
for bed.
Can I do it?
It's just extra dark.
It's a lot.
Wow.
It's a lot. And Lawrence, I have been looking forward to this conversation with you because I'm going to be on full disclosure mode because last week we had to move the date because I've stuffed my face for the entire day, starting with a Mexican buffet. Um, then it's the holidays, it was birthday feasting, and today, yeah, we just left a big, huge shepherd pie feast that the giant made, as well as
Nice.
another birthday cake. If you're familiar with the
Nice.
chantilly cake from Whole Foods, it's in
Oh,
my belly right
wow.
now.
Man, this is fantastic. This is a perfect setup for today
I'm
for this episode. Awesome, Heidi.
digestion tea. Let's do this.
Nice. Cheers to that.
Yay! Cheers. Cheers, peeps. Thanks for
And
tuning in.
we'll start it off. We don't, we're kind of in this like transition thing to go into the next season, if you will, or whatever. But
Yeah.
let's just start it off with a high five.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
depressed. Okay. Yep. Let's
Ready?
do.
1, 2, 3.
Dang.
Bam! Let's
7.
go. December 1st.
December
Here
1st.
we
Happy
are. How
December.
did that happen?
How did that happen? Can you freaking believe it? I got a memory bump that a year ago this week, I think we were on our 20th episode of Kids Health. So now, I
Something
mean,
like that, yeah.
yeah.
And we're still grinding it out. I think I was like prophetic words. I think like I said something like, "Oh, we're at 20. We're not slowing down. We're gonna like kind of like, yeah, that's how it works.
We can't call
Don't
out
get
those
too
things.
don't
Yeah.
get too cocky."
Don't get too cocky. There's a bit of a rebrand going though too, and I also noticed the little socials, especially YouTube of you, Mr. or this thing called YouTube,
Yeah.
really has a problem with health
Yeah.
in the titles,
Yeah.
and we can't share Happy Fun Ball clips anymore.
I
I
know.
got
I got
a
busted, guys.
strike.
I know some of you really appreciate it. I don't even know if I can say it. The opposite of sad fun ball. That clip got us. What happened there?
It
We got
froze
we
our
got a little
last view.
ding. Yeah, it
Yeah,
screwed us up.
NBC came
They
after
don't
us.
like
So
that.
YouTube, we're gonna keep it
Copywritten.
PC and we're gonna talk all things people. And
People.
before we do speaking of people, I see you, Aaron Moriarty. How are you? Nice to see you again. And Mr. B, all the way over there in Perth, Australia.
What
G'day.
up?
Nice to see you.
Oh,
And boys,
Australia. What time is
yeah.
it in Australia?
What time is it there, Mr. B? Aren't you 16? Where are you? What day is it? I know it's
It's tomorrow.
either super
It's the
early in the
second
morning.
there. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the morning. Because I
He'll
remember
chime in.
Y2K back in the day, and I remember like, okay, if everything's cool in Australia, we're good. You guys are,
Oh,
hey, Aaron,
yeah,
we're like
Y2K.
the canary in the Y2K coal mine.
Yes, we survived.
What
We
does that mean?
survived Y2K.
GTSY? Oh, okay.
Oh, good to see you. That took me so long to figure that out. I always
You're
was
not
like,
allowed to
"Gutsy?
speak the truth.
Am I gutsy?" And then
Yeah.
someone's like, "It's good to see you too."
Oh, that's
Monday.
right. I feel like a boomer or something with some of that stuff. I find myself looking up those acronyms all the time. Like, what does that mean?
I actually am too.
DFY. What is this guy? Does this guy not like me? Oh.
Well, there you go. It's 9:35
Never
a.m. in
afraid. Yeah.
Perth, Australia. So good to see you, Mr. B.
I worked at a bookstore. Aaron saying I was never afraid of Y2K. I worked at a bookstore back then,
Mhm.
and we had like a whole section of these books about how to prep. It was really wild. And
That is
we had like an employee like book loan program when I was working there. So I kind of had my head on some of that stuff for a while. I'm like, yeah, this is not good for me to be reading all this. And I felt pretty good about things, but it was pretty funny how it came and went. And then we just were sitting on like an entire section of the store, discounted books.
it was a pretty funty time, and we knew each
It
other
was
then. We were that was
did.
Chicago days, yeah. So
That
it
gives
was
a
it was
sense
funny.
of a history that we have, Heidi, because we were
Yeah.
pre Y2K.
We survived
We survived
Y2K.
Y2K. Look at all that we've gone through together.
I
Oh my
know.
God.
Well, I want to know, Lawrence, how did you survive the holidays? We are clearly
Well,
I'm I am unbuttoning my pants as
Yeah,
we speak.
yeah, we sort of the big, that kicks off the season. I mean, you can kind of go back. I feel like, there's
Hi, Daryl.
Halloween is sort of a warm up. Hello.
Halloween. Hi,
Halloween
Daryl.
warm up, and then we get into obviously with Thanksgiving and it's feast time, and now we're kind of in the moment where holiday parties are going to be happening and gatherings and all that. And today we're going to talk about some of that. And we've talked about it before, but here we are again, and just kind of how to navigate through. Heidi, it's going to be fun today because I'm going to pull up something on the screen, and then Heidi, you can, chime in with your feedback because you got to.
Sweet.
You're going through all this, the parties and the kids, and I
So
think it's
stuffed.
fun. So,
Yeah. And grandma's still in town. We just had
oh
another
boy,
cake. Like
yeah,
it's been like a lot of birthday celebrations, a lot of feastings, and we were out to, out for meals, some people do dine out still. You have those choices to make. So we got all
yeah.
that stuff to talk about. Hi, little Twisted. Nice to see you too. Hello, hello. Yeah, I would love to see what you have. Let's pull this up.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got
Aaron.
just a little. It's just a little things that we can have. We're bringing back some visuals again.
No NBC
Let's see
though.
here. Yeah, no. There will be no no clips. This is gonna be a boring PDF that I made.
I
What
love
was it
it.
that
Look
Aaron
at
said?
you. Oh,
I
my
saw
mom
something.
rocks. Oh, he says, I always wondered why Apple didn't advertise the fact that Y2K never affected Apple computers. They could
That
have
would have been,
sold
yeah,
lots, in my honest
nice
opinion.
marketing strategy actually.
Hey,
So you notice
Bauer.
there, yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, there's me, and notice the lack of snow because I'm in California, guys. Now
Yes.
there is snow up in, places like Big Bear, but I think in the background there, that's like Calabasas, so we don't get any snow
Is
in
that
Calabasas.
Calabasas? Were you
Yeah, that's
hiking
Cal.
out there? That it almost looks like you photoshopped
Oh,
it.
I did, but the
Oh,
picture is that actually is a picture that there's layers
okay.
to that. That is
All right.
actually a picture of Calabasas. That's
Nice.
legitimately Calabasas. That's an actual vest.
I love it. You look very
Uh,
professional.
yeah, that is my face.
Nice.
Um, I cleaned up the hair a little bit. My
Love
hair's
it.
usually not that well combed.
And there's
But
a
holiday
feast.
challenge, it's the holidays are a fun time. So for me, it gets very busy, in my world with nutrition and seeing my clients, and everybody's got questions about this. And, it's going to be very different from family to family, right? So Heidi, you have your own experience. And there's people that are very social. They host a lot of parties. They go out to a lot of parties. There are people, depending on their business, their company might have a holiday party. They might have a bunch of parties, so everybody kind of has their deal. Other people, it's just more like, oh, we do our Thanksgiving, we do one off that. It's not, so,
Mhm.
but this is kind of a time to really model balance eating for kids, and to, kind of think of a few things I hope today we can just kind of hit. And I just kind of some main points for conversation, Heidi. And
Sure.
Heidi didn't see this going into this, so this is kind of
No,
fun.
it is. And do you see I have my better prescription
Yeah.
content? I'm not like,
So,
"Ah."
yeah,
Encourage it.
crowding in, this term crowding in, versus restriction. Are you familiar with crowding in?
No, but if it's versus restriction, are you talking about like just enjoying it all versus telling
Yeah,
yourself you
well,
can't?
so this goes to a broader point that I like to make in general about the way that we talk about our diet and, foods that we eat. We
Mhm.
tend to um, frame the way that we speak about our diet a lot of times in what we're not eating, right? So when people want to
Okay.
follow a certain diet or kind of get healthy in these things, it's like, oh, I'm gluten free, I'm dairy free, I'm sugar free, and they sort of define their diet based on what they're restricting. And I'm always one to encourage addition, right? So talk about that which you are eating, right? I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
healthy protein, lots of vegetables, lots of colors. I have, variety of foods, what have you. And crowding in is this idea that it's additive, right? So this first point, encourage addition, focus on adding healthy foods, right? So instead of thinking about all these things that we need to avoid, what we want to do is just start populating, more of the healthy stuff. And healthy,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is just whole unprocessed food. And we've talked about this again and again and again. It's not rocket science. It's whole unprocessed single ingredient type stuff. That's where you want to encourage additive eating. And in this way, we're avoiding restriction. We're also not talking about our diet in that way, right?
Yes. Oh,
And
I love that you're saying this. Okay, I have good stuff with
yeah,
this. And hi, Kira.
yeah, and feel free to cut me off, Heidi, and chime in because this is just a jump off point for some
Well,
convo.
can I add a quick thing real quick? Because
Absolutely
what you said already made me think of the classroom because you're saying it's kind of like you're talking to your body and talking to yourself. You don't want to say what you're not doing and what you can't have and negative.
correct.
It's like what you can. It's a positive. We do that in the classroom. We're not saying the class rules are not what you can't do in the classroom. It's the things you can do. We will be respectful of our classmates. We will keep our hands to ourselves. It's a mindset of positivity versus negativity. Yeah, that's just what I want to share.
100%. And for like my adult clients, where they're able to, kind of take on a little more advanced information, and we kind of approach it a little differently with adults. They may in fact have to get in a calorie deficit, right? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were pointing. I think you froze on me, and it looked like you were
Oh,
pointing to the ears, like you couldn't hear me.
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
All
just
good.
want to make sure you're there.
Yep.
Um, when we talk about sort of like a calorie target, right? Like somebody might actually have a medical need to be in a calorie deficit, right?
Right.
But the way that I help them frame that is, let's say they have to, or they would like to aim for 1,800 calories, rather than saying, okay, we want to cut down to 1,800 calories. I'm going to tell them, hey, you can eat up to 1,800 calories a day, and here's how we can do it. And there's plenty of foods that really are essentially free foods, right? You got your above ground vegetables and things like this that eat as much as you want. And so you come from a framework of abundance and this idea that you're eating up to a certain amount, as much as, rather than, oh, I got to cut down, I got to slash, I got to remove. And we never want to, kind of look at a plate that just looks, barren and sort of dead. We want to
Yeah.
kind of really fill it up. And so that's the idea of, a plate, filling it half, veggies and fruit, a lot of water rich, and finding some fun food ideas. When we kind of get through this little presentation, I can throw some out there, some
Sure.
websites that I like to go to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is kind of like the main point to start out with.
Okay.
And, mindful eating, right? We've talked
Yeah.
about this. Slow down.
Yeah.
Right. And this is
It's a
just
tough one.
something fun when you frame it like almost like a game for kids, right? Let's see how many bites that you can have, or you play the game of we want you to chew all your food and swallow, and you take a bite, put your fork down and chew all your food and swallow, then you can pick up the next one, right?
And then and
And
then
the
pick
first
your
person
fork
that
up
picks
again.
up the fork, before they're done chewing, they lose a point or whatever. Just coming up with some fun activities, mindfulness, and to encourage describing the flavors. Remember, Heidi, when we were at the school doing that in school, when we were asking the children, 1 to 10, do you like it? Notice when they didn't like it, it wasn't. We were having fun with that.
Yes. Oh, yes. And
Right?
they didn't feel on the spot. We
Not
really
at
wanted
all.
to hear their thoughts, and there was no wrong answer.
They knew that if I said 1 to 10, how much you like it, it's a 2 or something. And I said, that is awesome. How can we make it a 3? How can we make it a 4? What would you do to make this dish taste better? And now you're actually getting them to think about the food that they're eating. There's no judgment if they like it or not. You're not punishing them for not liking food, because we can't force a child or anybody. We can't force anybody to just magically like something. And that goes into this whole idea of finishing your plate. But the idea of this is to take time with food, talk about the flavors. Don't mention anything about, oh, don't overeat, or don't, again, we don't use mealtime to lecture or any of this. We're just having fun. Okay.
Yeah.
So mindful
Yeah.
eating.
Mindful eating. Love
Mindful
that.
eating. No
And I see you,
rushing,
Mr. B.
enjoying food.
Yeah, Mr. B. Strange how foods that are healthy is expensive. We find that to be,
Yeah.
a thing, and that's intended, I think, to prevent people from empowering themselves by getting healthy. But then you get little tricks you can do. My little thing is, when I do get produce, sometimes I do look for produce coming in from Mexico because they don't use a lot of the pesticides we have. Have you
That's
heard that
correct.
too?
And yeah,
Yeah.
and Mr. B, we have
Mhm.
an episode that's on budget shopping.
See you soon, Kira.
So Heidi and I'm not sure of
Yes.
the number of the episode, but it
I'll
is
find
on
that.
our
I'll tell Mr. B.
major playlist.
Yep.
And we have a whole episode where I kind of share some tips and tricks on shopping on a budget, how to do it healthy. A lot of things I've learned through the years. Because I
Okay.
totally agree. especially these last few years, right? Groceries
Yeah.
have gotten really crazy.
Yeah.
But real fast,
Uh-huh.
just to mention some of the main ones that I've always said, um, pretty much every category, right? So if you like, one thing is you can't be too loyal on brands, right? Because then you kind of run into trouble. But if you're not so loyal on brands, but you are looking for quality, usually grocery stores will have something in each category that is on a sale. So if you're not
Mhm.
too like loyal to brands, you can just shop the sales. Frozen is great, right? Because if you find things that are frozen on sale, um, great time to stock up. So those are kind of things I like to do.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, if you're kind of stuck, and then mix it up where you go shopping.
Yeah.
I lucked out. I've got a great like outlet near me that
I go
you know.
Kroger, and you know what? I do Sunday. I went today because it's you get the reduced, you get all the reduced items. They get the little stickers on there. We go reduced breads, all these things. And then
Yeah,
I'm a coupon girl. Everybody's got the apps now. Like their stores have the apps, and if you're on it, you get these great discounts. But I stopped with the brands. I stopped. I noticed that most chains now have their own version of organic, and it's pretty clean. It's those fruits and veggies though, man. Sometimes I'm like, I don't trust them. So you
yeah,
got to be mindful. Go to those little European markets or Mexican markets. I'm telling you, those are some of
yeah.
the
Or the
cleanest
Asian
fruits
markets,
and
like a
best prices.
99 ranch or something. I mean, some
Yeah. Forgot
if you
about
mix
that
it up a
place.
little bit and find some things that are on
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
sale at these places. Um,
Totally. You do pop around. We're taking
yeah,
that back though. I think it's going to be different this year. It's going to,
yeah.
oops.
We're looking
Um,
forward to
yeah. And hi,
to what's
Jane. Hi,
ahead.
Roger. I see you too.
Hey,
um,
healthy snacking before the feast, and so yeah, I mean, this is just it's kinda like the same idea of, like, when you wanna tire out the kids and you play with them so that you know that they'll kind of,
they'll
be able
sleep
to get to
better.
bed tonight. Um, have some stuff out and about, and this is the whole thing is, like, you want the foods that, those healthy choices to be kind of out and about in plain sight, right? So you wanna
Yeah.
make the more desirable habit easier, right? And the less desirable habit harder, right? So we're really showcasing all the healthy foods and things that are like, easy to grab, whether it's like hummus, carrot sticks, crackers. You can get gluten free now and all different types, seed crackers and different things. But those are just kind of nice way to just have that passive. Don't force anything. Just have it out. They're getting hungry, and this can often work to prevent some overeating. If you're going to be going to like an
At the
event or something
feast.
at
Yeah, you
at
know
the
what?
feast,
My
right?
giant who's right here, I know he's listening. He has a tendency to like not eat and wait till the feast. And instead of the mini meal or cushion it a little bit beforehand and then get so uncomfortably stuffed, like just it hits different, I think,
Yeah,
as opposed to yeah. And I learned that the hard way too myself. But kiddos, yeah, have a little snack before you go to the feast, which sounds so crazy, but it's true. It's
absolutely, absolutely.
cushion the digestion.
This next one's obviously a given. And we talk about this all the time about making cooking a family activity. Most kids really want to help out. And recipes, again, at the end here, I'm going to give out some sites that I like to go to. But
Cool.
a lot of this is just it takes a little upfront work. Like be prepared for that. And I would say include kids. Obviously, some people just have one kid, some people have 5 kids, but include the whole family in kind of selecting that, so that's also
Mhm.
a part of it. Like, hey, let's look up some fun stuff. And again, the whole magician's choice idea, right? You set the parameters, like you're going to choose from these, right? So you know that there's not going to be a choice that you won't be happy with, but allow your children to, participate in choosing,
Right.
giving them that autonomy for that.
Right. Because
And
my kid would pick ice cream on top of pizza every
right.
time.
But if you if
That's
you
not one
if
of the
you
choices.
harness where the choices are coming from, and then the assigning out roles, right? And so if you've got a ton of kids and it might be the cousins come over or whatever, it's like, okay, who wants to? And that as an educator, right? It's like
Oh yeah.
the hands suddenly go up. It's
Yeah.
like, and we saw that at the school, right, Heidi? It was
Yeah.
like, who wants to be the mixer, and who's gonna,
The mixer's a big one. Yeah.
and
Or add, yeah, the
they go for that,
measurer.
and then maybe you gotta like pick a number or draw straws, but that actually makes it fun.
Hmm.
Okay, well, everybody wants to do this, so we're gonna let's play a little game to see who will do that, right?
Hmm.
And now it's not a question of are they going to help, it's how they're going to help, which is
Nice.
cool, right?
Yeah. And even just food prep, because I know, like, my mom or some people are like, out of the kitchen. They want to be by themselves. Well, let all the fruits, the veggies, the meats, whatever, salt them, season them, let it all happen before, and get your kids involved in that, and then get them out while you cook, or just if you need your alone time.
Exactly. And
Just an
pop open the
idea.
bottle of wine. Oh, I didn't say that.
I know. We have to talk about that. I've been drinking this week. Ooh, okay, go ahead.
But yeah, this is just great bonding time. It just encourages so much. I think when it's positive, when the vibe is positive around getting together as a family, and the positive around food, you create really great relationships, and a great memory
Yeah, core
of
memory.
core memories. Exactly.
Hmm.
Hydration, right? So this is a big deal.
Big one. Thank you
And
for bringing this up.
this goes into, and we think of hydration a lot of times in the summer months. We don't think of it as much, um, during the winter. But hydration is also a big part of appetite. And a lot of times when people are, thirsty, their brain is kind of telling them that they're hungry.
You told
But
me
we
that.
know
We
that
did an episode of that too.
hunger always
About
wins, right?
yes. And I asked you about those hydration sticks, and you actually opened my mind to that, because I always pop those if I feel like I need a little boost or I need more hydration. You're like, it doesn't serve a purpose unless you truly are low on electrolytes or
Yeah,
something, right?
like when
Okay.
you are, sweating when like on a hot summer hike or exercising and you've lost some,
Hmm.
it can be important. Now that being said, I like to soup up plain water. I think it is important. And then during the holidays, you can make it really colorful, right?
Hmm.
And you can do these water infusions and add different things. And it's just really pleasant to have out and to look at. And you're surprised, like kids really like
Pretty.
that. Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah. It was pretty
Exactly.
on set. What do you think of those new water bottles that have like the air ups and stuff, that you either smell the scent and you drink, so you trick yourself, or they infuse? It still like feels chemically to me. Huck really
Yeah,
wants one.
I you know, I'm not sure the exact ones you're talking about. I mean,
Okay.
eh, I'd have to look at what those are. I mean, a DIY kind of approach is what I like, just
Always do,
making your
yeah.
own using stainless steel, glass, trying to avoid plastics as much as we can. Um, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's a big part of it, being hydrated, clean water, and again, that's a whole other subject too.
Mhm.
Clean water.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, and the
Yeah.
microplastics are becoming a bigger and bigger issue. So,
Huge
when we're
issue.
talking about water, we're also talking about quality, source, and what it's packaged in. Portion size awareness, and so here's sort of this thing with portion is that we want to be aware of it, but I don't think it's important to. And again, another thing that we've talked about in other episodes, but it's not something so much that. Here's the thing: we eat when we're hungry, right? And we eat until we're full, always.
Mhm.
And so, but to have a starting place as a parent, right? Mostly as a parent of just kind of knowing how much you should sort of think about with those initial portions can be helpful. My biggest tip on portion control is to actually use measuring devices like a cup. Like if I'm going to go for some rice, I'll use a measuring cup and I'll scoop it out of the rice cooker, 2 cups, right?
Mhm.
Um, and those visual cues of like, okay, proportion of, animal protein is a deck of cards, veggies can be a fist or more. Um, and so portions are important. Now, when you're talking about holidays, um, there's kind of like one of these, a great strategy for holidays, and you can kind of model this for your kids is like that first trip, right? Like, so let's say it's like a buffet style.
Mhm.
You can kind of say, oh, let's that first trip, let's try a little bit of everything. But it's that kind of like sample, right? Like
Mhm.
have a little bit of everything, and then we can see what we like, and then we can go back and find it. And then that kind of it's I think that's a good framework, and it also because exposure is a big deal, right? With kids, it's like sometimes they don't want it, but let's encourage that. And
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
don't want to, that's okay. We don't need to beat them up over it. But we're always talking about exposure, a good variety of foods, open up their palate. Like let's try a little bit of everything. Maybe you might like it, just tiny bit. And you can do that on your plate. And it's, oh, I really like that. Oh, I like those sweet potatoes. I'm going to get more of that when I go back up. And let's
Mhm.
be real, like if it's a party, it's one day.
That's what I wanted you to get to that too. Sometimes so if the
Yeah,
parameters are out of your control, but if you're at an event, it's like this is one day out of a routine. I'm not gonna
right.
shame or guilt, or I'm gonna enjoy.
None of that. None of that.
Mhm.
And so,
Mhm.
we're mindful of it, but we're not like going to be hyper strict. We're just, we're I think with food, it's always like there's a mindfulness to it, but there's also the understanding that look, we're going to eat until we feel satisfied. And it's to try to uh tell a person, this is all you can eat, and then they're still hungry. That's what that tells me is that you're setting the stage for them to feel that restriction and feel that like, oh my god, like that punishment, like, oh, that's all you can have.
Mhm.
You know, are you
Mhm.
still hungry is a viable question.
Mhm.
And if they seem to be overeating, then you have to look at the contents of that meal. And we've talked about this. Things that are hyper palatable, processed foods, those things are likely to drive overeating. And that's just the way it is. And that's why we can't rely on willpower so much, right? To just
'Cause
try to
it's
tell a
chemical.
person, right?
Mhm.
We have
Mhm.
to be aware of that.
Mhm.
And so,
Gotcha.
it's tricky, right? But if we do this crowding in philosophy and we're putting those whole foods in up front, we're front loading everything. We're having that kind of pre-game snack of whole food ingredients, healthier ingredients, like that really goes a long way.
Mhm. Mhm.
So with
And I
healthy swaps, oh sorry,
Oh, no, I just say, Kira, I love that. Yes, lemon, like lemon water with true lemon, sets your gut on a healthy balance. It's like a good,
absolutely,
sets a good sipper all day kind of thing. And I definitely would start the day with it, right? Lemon
sure.
water.
Like starting the
Mhm.
day with it is good. Sometimes if people like if you're exposing, that goes into the dental thing of like exposure, whether it's things that are acidic on the teeth.
Mhm.
Sometimes sipping a lot, like you might want to do a straw if there are things that are acidic. Um,
Oh.
and the same with sugar. A real quick note on that in terms of sugar and dental health, which we've talked about before. We did a whole episode on dental health. Um, Exposure matters. So I'll give you an idea. If you have like 100 grams of sugar, right, at
Mhm.
one sitting, right, but it's like one sitting, that's a
Yeah.
lot of sugar, right? Way too much as far as for your body. But your teeth are really getting that kind of single exposure. Like, it might be a heavy load, but it's a single exposure. Rinse your mouth after eating whatever, and you can minimize that. Versus, let's say somebody that only gets 20 grams of sugar through the day, but it's exposed like through a drink or through, multiple
Oh,
exposures that add
yeah,
up. So
yeah.
the total amount of sugar might be less, but the
I get it.
problems on the teeth are greater because of more
Huh. I didn't
times of
think,
exposure.
I didn't, I
So
didn't, I didn't think to look at it that way. Yeah.
yeah, it's just one of those things, and there's sort of two different things, right? There's one is
Yeah.
like how much sugar we want in a day for our physical health, and then the dental piece is a little different. We
Yeah.
do have to be thinking of in terms of that.
Yeah.
What I have
Well,
here
can I
are
give a really quick shout out to Daryl here?
sure.
Because Daryl, you're talking my language. Because sometimes when I have a supreme pizza, I'm like, that's my vegetables for the day. I'm like, yep, I got my tomatoes. We're good. Or no, I mean my fruit. I put my veggies on it. So once in a while, you gotta take the wins where you can get them. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. We're getting to swaps here. I'm a huge fan of swapping, right? I always say,
Uh-huh.
if you drop it, make sure to swap it. You know,
Oh.
um,
Oh, like if you're restricting something, you.
if you're going to say pull out something out of the
Mhm.
diet, right? It's like don't erase it, replace it.
Okay, gotcha.
Because nature abhors a vacuum. If you just take something out, have something that is a substitute, right? So, because people are going to feel that void if you're just taking something out, but having a reasonable replacement, having a swap, kind of an upgrade on the nutrition side can be useful, right? And so these are
Okay.
just some ideas. There's tons. There's entire websites devoted to this kind of stuff, but it's just like being mindful of like, okay, where could we swap? Right. So it might be a traditional eggnog. Maybe you move to something like an almond milk or coconut milk. Um, Mashed potatoes. We've talked about cauliflower, how
We did
versatile it
that.
is.
Yeah, we did that this time. Not
So
all. We just added some. So it's
50-50,
like,
right?
thank you.
If you
Yeah.
you mix 50% cauliflower and 50% potato, or cauli rice and 50% normal rice,
Mhm.
you can, you know, cut into the carbohydrate and calorie content, but you're getting that volume still, not really missing it. And
Gotcha.
you're able to kind of enjoy something that's and again, you're not just taking that away like, oh, you can't have carbs. Because look, there are times that people have a medical necessity to control these things,
Mhm.
but they don't want to miss out.
Mhm.
So this is just a
Mhm.
good way to be able to like make something that's substantial,
Mhm.
and they can not really miss,
Mhm.
the 60 grams of carbohydrates that they're not getting now, you know?
Mhm.
Um, Ones that a lot of people know, chips and dip, maybe it's veggies and hummus,
Or clean
stuffing.
chips. What about clean, like,
Yeah,
seed chips? See, they
uh,
make really good seed ones
yeah,
now,
exactly. These are all
and
just
good
ideas, like
dips. Yeah,
any of
yeah,
these
yeah.
kind of things. Like
I know, we could do a whole thing on just the
the
food
thing is like
menu.
look at a great thought experiment a lot of times is to go, if you had to design like the worst diet possible, what would that look like?
Mhm.
Right? Like just as a thought experiment, what would the worst diet possible look like? And
Beige
then
and sugar, yeah.
right, and then for each item that you could come up with, there's going to be something that you could substitute, whether it's something that's very closely related or something that might fill the need of crunchy, salty. Sometimes it's texture.
Mhm.
These are the things that you kind of look for. We look
Mhm.
at like a traditional stuffing where it's like, a lot of like, it's like bread and it's like really heavy, and then maybe there's like a chemically like gravy mix and different packets and things that we maybe
Yeah.
are used to seeing. We can go to some of these more whole food substitutes,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Things with pies, like, right, again, to people that need to control carbohydrates for different reasons, for medical reasons even, right? Maybe Uncle Paul's got type 2 diabetes, you know, but you could do, just simply some fresh apples and a little bit of cinnamon, some nuts. You can serve something up that's going to be absolutely delicious, and they're not going to miss out.
And it's gonna have the fragrance and the smell and the
Yeah,
seasonings as everything, all the other things. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
this also, I mean, and why it's fun during the holidays is because you can also play around with some of this stuff, and it actually kind of shows the possibilities that are out there of just, because the holidays are known for just like it's a free for all, right? It's like quote unquote fun food, but fun can be
Yeah.
healthy, it can be colorful
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
So these are some more, um, like the homemade energy bites,
Mhm.
um, cranberry sauce, which I made. Honestly, I've been doing this every year. Get a bag of cranberry, throw that in a pot, little water, some cuties, like those mandarin orange segments, throw that in there, maybe some cinnamon, some honey, something like this, and just cook that up. And it's delicious.
Nice. Nice.
So
Yeah, yeah.
instead of like some of these recipes are called for brown sugar and refined sugar and white sugar, and you don't need all that.
Yeah.
It's plenty sweet to me with the orange. We
Mhm.
got any comments coming in?
Oh, yeah, well, Mr. B's right, home cooking versus takeaway. Yeah.
Absolutely, Mr. B. High five. Yeah, and again, and the cooking is not, that's the thing, is that we are, from the behavioral science standpoint, right, Heidi? It's like when we're just grabbing something out of a box or having something delivered, fine, sometimes you have to do that for convenience, but when
Mhm.
you're making the meal together with the family, you're getting the chopping and the smelling and you're playing some music and the aromas of the kitchen, and you're really engaged. It's a totally different thing
Yes.
that you
Yes, I
can
hear mom duties. It's a different
experiment.
thing. You're also setting the stage and the groundwork for the future. Like, what you're doing today is setting the groundwork for the future. Sometimes, when we do get a little lax or slacked, I'm thinking one day my son is going to have a date. Like, I want him to cook his chick dinner. Like, like,
Right.
we want them to know, not just be like this, where's the meat? Like, I want them to have like food in etiquette, know the proper, all these different ranges of foods out there and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. I'll tell you, man, for young men, I mean, if you want to impress, if you want to really stand out, you have a young lady over and you can make like a real meal, that can go a long way. And so, and
True.
we're training chefs of the future, with Rainbow
Yes.
Chefs.
Yes.
and
Shout
it's
out Rainbow
awesome.
Chefs.
Shout out to Rainbow Chefs Academy.
Yeah.
Brownies, right? The traditional brownies, the black bean brownie
Yum.
recipe, sweet potato brownies, avocado brownies at
Mhm.
rainbowchefsacademy.com. And now a word from our sponsor. Yeah, that's it. It's fun,
Everything could be substitute anything.
Absolutely. Regular hot chocolate, you can find different recipes out there. Cocoa powder, almond milk. You can do different spices and stuff. I mean, there's so many options to swap. That's the point.
Yeah.
I just threw up here about a dozen or so. Air fried. I've got an air fryer and I absolutely love it. And
Do
there's
you?
so
I was
many
gonna ask you about that. I thought,
amazing.
why am I hearing they're worse than microwaves? What's the
I don't
deal?
know. Heidi, you are. Are you gonna make me throw away my air fryer?
No, because we got one. Giant got us one,
No,
and I'm like all in, and then I'm like, wait a minute,
I love
and then
my
I'm like,
air
you know what?
fryer.
Okay,
I haven't used microwave since the 90s, so
okay.
I mean that's
Hey,
I can brag
yeah.
about that, but I'll
The air
stand
fryer does
corrected
the
if I
job.
find some good data on air fryers being worse. But
Okay. You
obviously
look
there's
at
always trade-offs. I think some of the materials that things are made out of, and
yeah.
I can imagine.
Well, he
But
bought us a silicone insert, and so he said so it's not touching anything, and I think that
yeah,
helps too. But anyway, what you're saying is that is a safer, cleaner way
it's just
of
it's
frying.
great, yeah,
Yeah.
because you're not, you're when we're talking about like frying, right? We're talking about when heating up oils, and you're getting into things like acrylamide and these components that really that can create glycation, kind of sticky blood. When you're talking about kind of traditional, deep frying and these things, air frying is just beautiful.
Okay.
Nice and healthy. What do we got? Mr. B,
Yeah.
childhood memories of the smell of home cooked bread and cakes. Yet obesity wasn't a problem in society. Correct. And look, I don't, Mr. B, how old are you?
I think he's
Our age?
late
Late
60s,
60s, a little
early
older. Okay.
70s.
Heidi and I are
Early
50. I can say
mhm.
Heidi's 50. That's we're both 50.
Isn't that
But
great?
yeah, I mean, I think like we go to around 1980 and up until now, the introduction of seed oils and different things that um, have really changed. 75. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So
Mhm.
look, I mean, back then,
It was different then. Mhm.
yeah, you're talking about a completely different food supply, and the chemical the chemical influence just simply wasn't the same. I mean, obviously there were some things in mid-century or what have you, but nothing like it is today. So yeah, it's true. It's definitely true. And then you can also get into just the activity levels and everything
Mhm.
else. Blazer.
Mhm. I love Laser. Look at that little wrench. He's officially a new moderator.
we're
Cheers,
we're
Laser.
we're
Thank
getting
you.
to the home stretch here on my little
Oh yeah.
slideshow.
Okay.
And I'm gonna just say, do you dig my photos? These are AI generated.
I
You
was
give
gonna
that kid like
say
a little
they're
blonde
pretty
afro or
fast.
something. He's so cute.
Looks like you. Yeah. The side. That's
It's
cute.
just yeah, it's pretty fun. Um, Gratitude, right? So perspective of like again, I mean, I'm such a big fan of like just like acknowledge what is, acknowledge the food we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Daryl saying back then we didn't sit in the house all
Oh,
day.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we
Back in
got
the day, it was
out
just a
and
lot more movement and a
playing
lot cleaner
outside.
foods, less processed back then too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you know,
Gratitude.
um,
Mhm.
shift of perspective. The traditions, gratitude. It's not just about the food, but coming together and being mindful that that is the sort of point of these gatherings is the people, and the people
Yeah.
coming together through sitting at the table. And if everybody, were in a perfect scenario, I think it's like if everybody had a hand in making that meal, I think that there's like a really cool shared feeling of gratitude over the meal that you're about to enjoy. Right.
Yes. It's conversation too. Like my brother made the pumpkin pie, my son made the whipped cream,
Yeah.
the aunt made the cauliflower stuff, giant made potatoes. Like we each had something to say and we shared our little recipes and I don't know, I think it's sweet. Little everybody had a part to play. I put charcuterie out.
It
That was very important.
absolutely charcuterie is awesome. Yeah. You cannot beat a good charcuterie. But yeah, it's a reflection time and a time to just, appreciate things. And we always know lead by example, right? And so that's
Yeah.
the time where, you can balance some of these things and they're noticing, kids are paying attention. They're watching you,
Uh-huh.
and
Mhm.
absorbing and observing and modeling. And we've talked about this before about foods good and bad. And the best way that I could say about food labeling is like, yes, I actually do believe that there are good and bad foods. I'll be honest, I do. But when we're talking about an approach to sort of set the table for a relationship with food and how we look at it, it helps to teach nuance to kids when we're honest with them. So we can
Yes.
bring up that certain foods have certain qualities that we may or may not like. But to go back to the example I use, if you're starving, right, and the only thing you have available is a Twinkie, in that context, a Twinkie could save your life.
Yes.
And so let's not sell our kids short that they can't understand these nuanced ideas. And we can ask them about their friends. I mean, kids have friends that say, well, who's your favorite friend? Oh, I like Billy. And it's like, you're always happy to be around him. Well, sometimes he gets on my nerves, right? So there's a certain amount of Billy that you can tolerate, right? And I really like Joey, but like I can only deal with him for like an hour, right? Okay, right. They begin to understand the idea that, moderation is a thing. There are going to be exceptions to all rules. And there are certain healthy people. I mean, when we're teaching boundaries about people, we speak on this all the time, right? Who are the people that make you feel good? Who are the people that you want to be around, that encourage you, that inspire you? Who are the people that make you feel not so great? And it's okay to have boundaries. And the same with food is that when they begin to understand how they feel, like, how did you feel after you ate that? So good. Okay. And let them process that. Yeah, maybe that's something that you could think about next time. And then you get into a way that now nothing is sort of, you're not waking up that little inner rebel that we all have. We're not creating taboos where, they're going to want to hide food, or they're going to sneak things or what have you. So that this is the reason that the languaging is important. Not that that these foods don't exist on a spectrum of good and bad, but that labeling, just bluntly labeling them without providing the context is that can lead to problems down the road.
Yeah.
And with trust, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have an example like, where my dad used to say, take out the garbage, right? Take out the garbage. And I wouldn't take out the garbage. And then you just say to me, why do we take out the garbage? That's a great question. And then I've got to think about why we take out the garbage. Well, it's going to smell. It's like, yeah, okay. So don't take out the garbage because I said to. Take out the garbage because it's the right thing to do. It's a good, smart thing to do. And then you're not teaching your child to just blindly follow an authority. You're getting them to actually think about why. And look, my dad would say, look, if I ask you something and it doesn't make sense, you have the right to call me on it, and I've got to defend the position. Right? And if you can give me a good reason, and we can have that conversation. Right? Otherwise, do it because I said, eat your broccoli because I said so. Well, it's like, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you've literally wasted an opportunity to have a really great point of contact and connection with a kid. Like, let's talk about it. You don't like it? Okay, that's fair. And that's fair that I shouldn't force you to eat something that you don't want. Go. But you don't stop serving broccoli, right? You bring it out to the table. Everyone else on the table wants to eat it, and that's it. Exposure. Because if you actually look at what the data says, that is what works. Exposure without any kind of judgment. It's just expose. You don't make a dramatic production about it. And then they are allowed to try it on their own terms. And that's perfectly reasonable. You decide what comes.
Thank you.
You decide what comes into the home. You're the parent. You get that. You get to choose where your money goes to. And then from there, they can choose. They get to decide from those options what they might want to eat. But you are the gatekeeper of what comes into the home. And that's fair.
That's fair too. Yeah. So a little quick about the love behind food too. I love what you said, Blazer, about I can make a turkey sandwich and my girlfriend makes the same sandwich, exactly the same ingredients, but hers tastes better. Why? Because she loves you, and it's love.
Who said that comment?
Pleaser.
Oh,
yeah.
so
Why, I thought that's
that
so sweet.
reminds me, because I actually read something not too long ago, and I'm going to butcher the data on it, but it reinforced that there's actually a reason behind that food made by a loved one or a friend simply tastes better. There's something
Aw.
about that. I'm gonna have to find that, Heidi.
You gotta
I'm gonna
find
dig
that.
that up and bring that back. That my
Do
mom
I
wouldn't
see
say
it? Look
bath
at
time.
look at
Which
Blazer's
toy? Oh
picture. Is
my
this
god, your
he's
mom,
got a
Blazer, is
Care Bear.
clever. Wait, that
I
is hold on. Wait,
yeah,
that is a
that's a
banger
good
right there.
one.
That is awesome. That is a nugget right there. Which toys do you want for your bath? Yeah, so the bath is assumed.
It's like, you're to it. Yeah, I
This is
love it.
again,
And I love the
this is
Care Bear. I see it.
hey,
Okay.
I get to pick my
Uh-huh.
toy. So it isn't like, hey, time to take a bath. We gotta take a bath. It's like, so what toy do you want for your bath? I love that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I love that.
Your mom, Blazer, that is awesome.
Killing it.
And again, mindfulness, right? Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
so kind of coming
Yeah,
toward the
the
last couple
and
slides.
I know, I'm
Navigate
like
food
30
pushing.
minutes and we're 45 here. I
Oh,
love it.
we're gonna get to the home stretch here, but look, we're gonna have these situations where there's the food pushers,
Yeah.
and it's okay to politely decline.
Mhm.
It's okay to keep things light and positive. You can save room for other things. "Hey, I'm saving room. This is great. This is so much food," or "Oh, you know what? I'm good. I thank you so much."
I
You
love
know,
that you have this on right now. This is so perfect right now. Yes.
talk to me, Heidi.
Well, this family get together. Plus, my son, the drama and the story he's had with his tongue. And we're working on the muscle now, getting the muscle to move backwards because we realize it's going the opposite way. He wasn't even getting the food down the right way. But all of
Sure.
the food pushers are really rampant around him sometime. And I've been a little protective, mama bearish, but also empowering others by showing him, look at how much he gets to put down with his meat and his drink and his pressed juice, all the other things. Anyway, I have too many stories, but I have a personal thing with that from as a kid and then growing up with the food pushers. It made had a negative impact in that sense, finish the plate or eat the veggies or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
You
And
know,
I just find there's always another way to deliver
there always
information.
is. And for people out there that are because everybody has a different tolerance of confrontation. I like it, so I'm not a good person to, but I'm not, there are people that just are adverse to it. And for those people, I mean, I've had patients before where sometimes this was true, sometimes it wasn't, but I've just told them, look, if you need quick language to tell somebody, just tell them flat out, I'm on a medically supervised diet. Thank you.
Hmm,
And that will shut somebody up. And
that
if that
shuts them
doesn't
up.
shut somebody up, then you leave, because who's going to argue with you on that? So that's a good one to just a quick, like if somebody needs, like, I need one line to just get them off my back. I'm on a medically supervised diet. Thank you. I mean, that should be the end all.
Yeah.
Most
Perfect.
people, reasonable people, are going to think, okay, lay off. And that's the case for some people. They don't want to have these battles. But I mean, think about a lot of the times when people don't speak up and they just do that. And then the next day, like, why did I do that? Now I feel like crap. Or and there are people that have had, IBD and colitis and like different things, but they felt guilty, shamed at a holiday family function. And they do these things and they put that on them. And then they feel bad for a few days or a week or more.
Hmm.
So there are very strong reasons to decline. You don't you don't
Gotcha.
have to go
Yep.
along with everybody,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
and stay
Perfectly
active.
said.
So the last one here,
Oh, yeah.
it's kind of the last one, is that, this is the time. It's like, holidays tend to, there's a kind of feeling in the air that things are kind of slowed down, which is cool. And it's a good idea now to, after the meal, go for a walk, um, schedule a hike because the kids are off school or whatever. But this is like a really, really important time of the year. It should go without saying, but I think sometimes people get lost in that. They get lost in all the events and the gift giving and all that. But it's like, this is
Yeah.
actually a great time to bond in a new setting, find an outdoor place, hit up a hike or something. So um, those are some of the main things I wanted to talk about. We can kill the share
Okay. I
and
loved that. Yeah, you said that. Yeah, we went on a couple. I mean, sure, we're in California with amazing terrain. We were out at Vasquez Rocks, doing the
yeah,
little Mars walks and then the beach walks. But I remember being in the Midwest in the snow, suiting up and just walking out and listening to the quiet snow. But you're together and you're
yeah.
walking it off. Good for you, Aaron. I see that
Aaron
there.
sees
He
something.
worked
I
in
like this.
and he was a teacher. Yeah, with preschool and
Reported a
stuff.
coworker for forcing a 4-year-old to drink milk. His parents requested he not have to drink milk. Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Isn't that crazy?
Boiling banana
Boiling
peels and then
banana.
drinking the water will release tryptophan. Awesome.
Really?
That's
Ooh,
cool. I actually didn't know
I'm
that
bringing
one.
that to the class.
I didn't know that one. That's awesome.
That's
You got
awesome.
some gems today.
I know. They're such good peeps. Thank you guys. Well, my
Yeah.
goodness, I mean, I started the show saying how much I feasted since the last time I saw Lawrence, but I'll tell you, each feast was a memory. It was a core memory. And I was with family. I was even with family who traveled to visit with me, and we had celebrations. And I feel like I've come a long way, baby, because years ago there'd be so much guilt and shame attached to it. And now it's like, well, that was delicious. That was
Yeah.
fun. End scene. Not, no, I got to do this. Now I got to sweat it off. Oh my God. Blah, blah. It's just like,
Right.
enjoy it. Now you move a little. Now you do this little. You just feel better. I feel having a good
Absolutely.
relationship with food starts with enjoying the food. I
And
think.
to not look at this exercise as like what you touched on is really important to remind everyone is that exercise is a celebration of your body, not a punishment for some thing you did. Like, oh, I got to burn
Yes.
off the pumpkin pie now.
Yes.
Again, because
Yes.
whenever we're talking to ourselves about that, what we're doing is we're creating a negative connotation around a desired habit, and you're dooming yourself for self-sabotage in that respect. Right, because you're just creating like this thing of like, oh, I'm associating with this with a punishment.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I
Mhm.
exercise when I feel like I've done something wrong. So then why would you be incentivized then to want to exercise if you keep
Yeah.
telling yourself
Yeah.
that this is a form of punishment and not
Yeah.
a absolute celebration for what your body can do,
Mhm.
which is
Mhm.
really what it is.
Yeah. That's true. And as a
It's
parent, yeah.
And good luck, by the way. And look, and the bottom line is you can't really outrun a bad diet. I mean, it's like good luck anyway. It's just not that exercise probably with all the benefits that come with exercise, calorie burning is probably at the bottom.
Oh. Mm.
Exercise, the benefits of exercise, mental, obviously, the physical health benefits, but in terms of weight loss, you could put in a pretty solid 45-minute workout. Depending on the style of workout, maybe you burn 300 or 400 calories, maybe more if you're really intense. But you know how fast 3, 4, 500 calories can come in from food?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you're not
That's
gonna that's the
it's
devil
not
is
about
in
the
the
burn.
details and the diet. So,
Mhm.
but exercise is there for so many other reasons. Mental health is a huge one, and it's an underappreciated one. I mean, you go for a walk outside, that's as good as any antidepressant that you can get.
Mm. That's a mic drop
So,
moment. I
yeah,
agree. Maybe we should get into that stuff next week. 'Cause,
absolutely. But
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
Heidi, I mean, like, it's holidays, and, it is a time to just remember what it's all about, and the added stress of all the things. I mean, obviously people are also stressed about gift giving and all these other things that have nothing to do with food. And then when we add a layer of complication with food, it's like, that's not what this is for.
Right. You're missing the yeah. Yeah.
Missing the whole point
Totally.
of it. So
You missed the point of it. Yeah, let's simplify the holidays. Maybe we should do some more holiday chit chats because it really should be a peaceful time to rest, time to celebrate, for community chat. I'm
absolutely.
looking at you.
Absolutely, absolutely, and
Thank
actually,
you,
and it's
you
been
guys.
fun to hear some of the viewers, like,
Yes, like
chiming
Aaron
in
with
with position.
flexercise. If you're sitting, you can flexercise. Flex while you sit. Sometimes I don't know if
Absolutely.
he's joking, but then I'm like, yeah,
No,
that's right.
you could
Yeah.
do sitting, there was a study done where they had a couple studies that touch on what Aaron is saying that are really awesome, and they both have to do with blood sugar control diabetics. You're pumping your ankles up and down, they call it like a calf raises,
Uh
right?
huh. Uh huh.
Soleus push-ups they're called because the soleus muscle in the calf when you're sitting.
Mhm.
And you can do that all day long. And they've had people do this throughout an 8-hour workday, and it can substantially, like, meaningfully help control blood sugar.
Okay.
Another one is every hour doing 10, or every 45 minutes doing 10 body weight squats.
Oh,
And it's remarkable what that does. So we don't have to
nice.
think of like, oh, I got to get to the gym and get an hour
Yeah.
workout. Like, you can do things through the day. You can do things
Mhm.
at your desk. You can get up, stretch, said body weight squats, push ups. If you got a pull up bar, think of, kind of breaking up your day with just little mini.
Just random little things with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my
And
little
what was
man's
that
good at
last thing
that.
that we just had on the screen?
Oh, yeah, it was so cute. He's so it was funny. 2 hands made me eat Ben& and Jerry's pumpkin pie cheesecake ice cream. Unfortunately, they were my hands. And then if you feel overweight, you should diet. And if your hair is gray, you should diet. This is my little
Dude, Blazer, killing it. Killing it with
the
the dad
comedian.
jokes. I like to tell dad jokes, Heidi.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
like to tell dad jokes, and sometimes he laughs.
I get that one.
That's a dad joke. Okay.
That's awesome.
Anyway.
Oh, Bo's here. I think it's time. Come on, come say hi. I
Uh-oh.
think that means that
Right
my
on
time
cue
is
too.
up.
Bo's like, it's coming
He's
in for
right on
the
cue.
final
He's
final
kinda
point
there.
by
You
Bo.
see?
Bo's final point. Bo, what can you add to the
Oh, no.
Bo
Oh,
knows?
I love it. Oh, well. Well, I really appreciate all you all chiming in. And Blazer, how can you tell if it's a dad joke or not? I guess if you have to ask. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I think the silly, like, bumps.
It's a
Oh, it's a
parent.
parent. Oh, I knew that. I'm like, is he really asking me that?
Sometimes a dad joke goes a little farther than you want.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stump on that. It came to me that might be the answer to the joke. I didn't realize that was actually the punchline. Wow. I think I'm syncing up with Blazer right now through the airwaves. And Kim and I are
love
like
it.
locked in. There's a dad joke frequency, I'm convinced.
I
That
think you're right.
it's like telepathic.
Yes, I think you're right. B, you're on it here. I get it. You guys are so sweet. I see that. Yep. 5 small meals a day. I get, yeah. B, I'm going to send you back to our kids' health playlist. We have some
Boom,
really
boom, boom.
cool.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah. Love that. And be the glitch. All
Keep it
these things.
simple.
Thanking all of you all for tuning in. Thank you so very much for this, for bumping our algorithms, for supporting us, for chiming in. And we are in this midst of this little bit of a rebrand kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
and I'm loving it. I like it. I think we're just, honoring our experience and having a conversation about our wellness and well-being and
Be the
our
glitch.
being
I like
humanity. Yeah. We're saving the world with memes and dad jokes.
it. Resting glitch face.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Aaron. Well, cool. Well, we hope to see
Yes,
you next
memes and dad
Sunday.
jokes save the world. That's really all we have, Aaron. It's really all we have right now.
Welcome to 2024.
That's all we have, man. Heidi and I have been meme warriors, so we're well familiar.
Yes, that we are. We'll find some good ones. Maybe
Okay,
next
we're
week.
at about an hour mark, so
I
right
know,
on.
that's so funny. All right. Well, folks, yeah, please check it out again next week. Again, after it airs, or if you're catching the replay, you'll see below I'm going to add our Kids Get Healthy playlist. There's a really good chunk, over 24 shows there. And I look forward to sharing this journey with all of you guys. Thanks for chiming in. And I think folks know by now, if we go live and they chime in the chat, I'm going to call them out. So thank you for being brave to speak up and participate, because this is a community build and we're utilizing social media for all the right reasons. So take that, YouTube community
Pow.
strikes. Thanks, Daryl. Good to see you there. Okay. Well, Lawrence, thank you. Thank you for the visuals, and thank you for your wisdom and your experience and all that fun stuff. And I love chitty chatting with you. And I can't wait to do this again.
Awesome. Thank you, Heidi. As always, you are the best host. Healthy Heidi. Healthy Heidi, home for the holidays. Take it away.
On that note.